You know what's both hilarious and depressing? The fact that the median American has $600 saved for emergencies. $600. That's less than 1 month of car insurance for some people. Meanwhile, social media is absolutely flooded with 23-year-olds showing off their brokerage accounts and acting like they've cracked the code to generational wealth because they bought 3 shares of Tesla on a Tuesday. And here's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. Most people who talk about investing online have absolutely no idea what they're doing. They're the financial equivalent of that guy at the gym who gives unsolicited bench press advice while wearing a weight belt to do bicep curls. So if you've got $1,000 and you actually want to do something smart with it instead of lighting it on fire following some Reddit thread, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and stick around, because I'm about to break down 3 simple strategies that can turn that $1,000 into real wealth over time, with actual math, actual data, and zero crypto bro energy. Now, before we dive into the strategies, let's establish something important. $1,000 isn't going to make you rich overnight. I know that's not what you want to hear. I know you'd rather I tell you about some magical penny stock that's going to turn your grand into a Lamborghini by next Thursday. But that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. What $1,000 can do, though, is start the most powerful wealth-building engine in the history of human civilization, compound interest. And it can do it right now, today, from your phone, while you're sitting on your couch in sweatpants. The S&P 500 has delivered an average annual return of about 10.4% over nearly 100 years. In 2025 alone, it returned 17.9%, which was actually the 3rd consecutive year of exceptional performance, following 26.3% in 2023 and 25% in 2024. Now, I'm not saying you should expect 17% every year. That would be delusional, but even at the historical average, if you invest $1,000 today and never touch it, in 30 years, that money grows to over $17,000. And if you keep adding to it, that's where things get genuinely exciting. But we'll get to that math in a minute. Here's something else you need to understand before we get into the strategies. The biggest risk with $1,000 isn't losing it in the stock market. The biggest risk is doing nothing with it. Right now, inflation is sitting at 2.4% as of January 2026. That means if your money is sitting in a regular savings account earning the national average of 0.39%, you are literally getting poorer every single day. Your money is losing purchasing power while you think you're being responsible by saving it. It's like putting food in a refrigerator that's actually an oven. You think you're preserving it, but it's slowly cooking. So with that cheerful thought in mind, let's get into the 3 strategies. Strategy number 1 is the simplest, most boring, and statistically most effective way to invest your first $1,000. Buy a total market index fund and leave it alone. That's it. That's the strategy. I know it's not exciting. I know it doesn't make for great TikTok content. Nobody's going viral saying, I bought VTI and watched it do nothing interesting for 3 weeks. But here's why this works better than basically everything else. When you buy a total market index fund, like VTI, you're buying a tiny piece of every publicly traded company in the United States. We're talking over 3,600 companies. Apple, Microsoft, the local regional bank you've never heard of, that random healthcare company your aunt's neighbor works for, all of them. You're instantly diversified across the entire American economy, and you're doing it for an expense ratio of 0.03%. That means for every $1,000 you invest, you're paying 30 cents per year in fees. 30 cents. That's less than the cost of a gumball. Compare that to actively managed mutual funds that charge 1 to 2% in management fees, which is $10 to $20 per year on that same $1,000. Now, $20 doesn't sound like much, but over 30 years, that fee difference on a growing portfolio can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's the financial equivalent of a slow leak in your tire. You don't notice it day to day, but eventually you're driving on the rim. If you want something even more focused, there's VOO, which tracks the S&P 500 specifically, the 500 largest companies in America. Same 0.03% expense ratio. The difference between VOO and VTI is minimal. VOO gives you the big dogs, VTI gives you the big dogs plus the mid-sized and small companies. Both are excellent choices. Pick one and move on with your life. The people who spend 6 months agonizing over VOO versus VTI are the same people who spend 45 minutes deciding what to order at a restaurant and then get the chicken anyway. And here's the best part that most beginners don't realize. You don't need $1,000 to buy a single share of anything anymore. Fractional shares have completely changed the game. At Fidelity, you can start investing with literally $1. $1. Schwab lets you buy slices of S&P 500 stocks starting at $5. So your $1,000 can go straight into the market today, all of it, without needing to buy complete shares of anything. The barrier to entry has never been lower. Your grandparents had to call a broker, pay a commission, and buy shares in round lots. You can invest your spare change while waiting for your coffee order. there's genuinely no excuse anymore. Now here's where I need to drop the obligatory disclaimer. I'm not your financial advisor. This isn't personalized financial advice. I'm a guy on the internet talking about money, which, when you think about it, should probably concern you more than it does. But the data doesn't lie. Over every 20-year rolling period in market history, the S&P 500 has never produced a negative return. Never. There have been crashes, recessions, pandemics, wars, and financial crises, and yet over any 2-decade stretch, you'd have come out ahead. The trick is actually staying invested long enough to benefit from that, which is where most people completely fall apart. They invest during the good times, panic during the bad times, sell everything at the bottom, and then watch from the sidelines as the market recovers without them. It's a tale as old as Wall Street itself. Don't be that person. Which brings us to strategy number 2. Dollar cost averaging into a Roth IRA. Now, if strategy 1 was about where to put your money, strategy 2 is about how to put it there and which account to use. A Roth IRA is hands down the most powerful investment account available to most young people. And it's borderline criminal that more people don't use one. Here's how it works. You contribute money that you've already paid taxes on. Then it grows completely tax-free. And when you pull it out in retirement, you pay 0 taxes on the gains. 0. Not reduced taxes, not some complicated tax credit. 0. Let me put that in perspective. If you invest $1,000 today in a taxable brokerage account and it grows to $17,000 over 30 years, you owe capital gains taxes on that $16,000 gain when you sell. That could easily be $2,400 or more going straight to the IRS. In a Roth IRA, you keep every penny of that $17,000. Uncle Sam gets nothing. It's one of the few times in life where the government actually set up a system that benefits regular people, and most regular people completely ignore it. For 2026, you can contribute up to $7,500 to a Roth IRA. You need earned income of at least that amount, and your modified adjusted gross income has to be under $153,000 if you're single, or under $242,000 if you're married filing jointly. If you're a young person earning a normal salary, you almost certainly qualify. The contribution deadline for 2026 isn't until April 15, 2027, so you've got time, but there's a massive advantage to starting early in the year rather than waiting until the deadline. So here's where dollar cost averaging comes in. Instead of investing your entire $1,000 at once, you split it up and invest a fixed amount on a regular schedule, say $250 per month for 4 months, or about $84 per month over a year. The beauty of this approach is that when prices are high, your money buys fewer shares. When prices are low, your money buys more shares. Over time, this tends to smooth out the bumps and reduce the impact of short-term volatility on your investment. Now, I need to be honest with you. Research from Vanguard and others has shown that lump sum investing, putting all $1,000 in at once, actually outperforms dollar cost averaging about 70% of the time. The math makes sense. Markets go up more often than they go down, so the sooner your money is in the market, the sooner it can start growing. But here's why I still recommend dollar cost averaging for beginners. And it has nothing to do with math. It has to do with psychology. If you invest $1,000 all at once and the market drops 10% the next week, which it absolutely can and will at some point, you're sitting there staring at $900 and feeling like the biggest idiot on the planet. That emotional response causes more people to sell at the worst possible time than any other factor in investing. Dollar cost averaging gives you a psychological safety net. You're not betting everything on one moment in time. You're building a habit. You're getting comfortable with the process. And honestly, for your first $1,000, the performance difference between lump sum and DCA is going to be something like $20 over a year. That's the price of a mediocre lunch. The behavioral benefit of not panic selling is worth infinitely more. And here's the really beautiful thing about combining dollar cost averaging with a Roth IRA. Once you've invested that initial $1,000, you've established the habit. You've opened the account. You've connected your bank. You've set up the automatic transfers. The hardest part is done. And then you just keep going. Add $100 a month, $200 a month, whatever you can afford. If you invest $200 per month starting at age 25, earning the historical average of 10%, by age 65 you'd have over $1.1 million. All from $200 a month. All tax-free, in a Roth IRA. Now here's the gut punch. If you wait until age 35 to start that same $200 per month, you'd end up with about $380,000 by 65. Still good, but that's $700,000 less than if you started at 25. 10 years of procrastination cost you over $700,000. That's not a rounding error, that's a house. That's the difference between retiring comfortably and working until your knees give out. Compound interest doesn't care about your excuses. It only cares about time. That's the real power move here. Your $1,000 isn't just an investment. It's the ignition switch for a wealth-building machine that runs on autopilot. And here's the kicker. There's another sneaky benefit to the Roth IRA that most people don't know about. You can withdraw your contributions, not your gains, but the money you actually put in, at any time, for any reason, penalty-free. So your Roth IRA can also serve as a backup emergency fund in the worst case. You shouldn't think of it that way, but knowing you can access your contributions if your life completely falls apart makes it a lot easier to commit to investing in the first place. Alright, strategy number 3. And I know this one is going to get some pushback from the aggressive investors in the audience, but hear me out because this strategy is specifically designed for people who are genuinely nervous about the stock market. If the thought of watching your $1,000 fluctuate by $50 or $100 makes your stomach turn, if you know yourself well enough to know you'd panic sell at the first sign of trouble, then this strategy might actually build you more wealth in the long run by keeping you in the game instead of rage quitting after your first bad week. The strategy is this. Split your $1,000 into 2 buckets. Put $500 into a high-yield savings account and invest the other $500 in an index fund. The high-yield savings portion acts as your training wheels, your financial security blanket that lets you sleep at night. Right now, as of February 2026, the best high-yield savings accounts are paying up to 5% APY. The national average for regular savings accounts is 0.39%. So by simply moving your money from a regular savings account to a high-yield one, you're earning roughly 13 times more interest. On $500, that's about $25 per year in interest instead of $2. Not life-changing, but not nothing. And your principal is completely safe. FDIC insured up to $250,000. The other $500 goes into an index fund, either VOO or VTI, everything we talked about in Strategy 1. This gives you exposure to the market's long-term growth potential while limiting the amount of money that can fluctuate in value. If the market drops 20%, which would be a significant correction, you're looking at losing $100 on paper, not $200, and you've still got $500 sitting safely in your savings account, completely untouched. For someone who's new to investing, that psychological comfort is worth more than the slightly higher returns you might get from going all in. Here's where this strategy gets clever though. As you get more comfortable with market fluctuations, and you will get more comfortable, you gradually shift money from the savings bucket to the investment bucket. Maybe after 6 months, you move another $100 over. After a year, another $200. By the time you've been investing for 18 months to 2 years, you're fully invested, and you got there without a single panic attack. It's like learning to swim in the shallow end before diving into the deep end. Nobody drowns in 3 feet of water, but plenty of people drown because they jumped into the deep end before they were ready and flailed around until they gave up. And honestly, even if you never shift the full amount over to investments, the 50-50 split isn't terrible. You're earning 5% on half your money, and historically 10% on the other half, for a blended return of around 7.5%. That's still crushing inflation and building wealth. It's not optimal, but it's infinitely better than leaving the whole $1,000 in a checking account earning literally nothing while inflation eats it alive. The best investment strategy isn't the one that maximizes returns on paper. It's the one you actually stick with. Now before I wrap this up, let me address the elephant in the room. Some of you are sitting there thinking, but what about cryptocurrency? What about individual stocks? What about that AI company my coworker won't shut up about? Look, I get it. Those things are exciting. Index funds are about as thrilling as watching paint dry. But here's the reality check. Over the last 20 years, about 90% of actively managed large-cap funds have underperformed the S&P 500. 90%. These are funds run by people with Ivy League MB, as Bloomberg terminals, teams of analysts, and enough computing power to launch a satellite. And they still can't beat a basic index fund. So what exactly makes you think you're going to do better with your phone and a Reddit account? I'm not saying never buy individual stocks. I'm not saying crypto is inherently evil, but with your first $1,000? Absolutely not. Your first $1,000 should go into something boring, reliable, and statistically proven to build wealth over time. Once you've got $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 invested in index funds, then sure, take $500 and gamble on whatever meme stock is trending this week. But build the foundation first. Don't try to put a roof on a house that doesn't have walls yet. If you appreciated the data in this video and want more breakdowns like this, you know what to do. Subscribe and give this a thumbs up so more people can stop making terrible decisions with their first $1,000. So let's recap the 3 strategies. 1. Buy a total market index fund and leave it alone. Simple, effective, historically undefeated over any 20-year period. 2. Dollar cost average into a Roth IRA. To build the habit, get the tax benefits, and protect yourself from your own emotions. 3. Split between a high-yield savings account and an index fund if you need training wheels to get comfortable with market volatility. All three of these strategies work. All three of them have been proven by decades of data. The only one that doesn't work is doing nothing, which is unfortunately the strategy most Americans are currently using. That $1,000 sitting in your bank account is actively losing value every single day to inflation. Every day you wait to invest is a day of compound growth you can never get back. Time in the market beats timing the market. Every single time. Your future self is either going to thank you for starting today or curse you for waiting until tomorrow. So open that brokerage account, set up that Roth IRA, move that money into a high-yield savings account. Do something. Because the best time to invest was 10 years ago, the second best time is right now.